No one would have believed that in the years after the scourge of the great cosmic horrors, Terraria was being watched keenly by intelligences vastly greater than that of man or lizard, but just as mortal. Even as horrors had fallen from the sky, few considered the concept of life beyond the stars. Even so, across the great void, devious minds regarded Terraria with envious eyes, and slowly and surely they drew their plans against them. In the years since the oppression of the great eldritch gods had begun, humanity had all but forgotten exactly where their oppressors had come from. Their origins had become a thing of legend, and their existence was accepted as having always been part of their long history. For whatever reason, no one considered the idea of life among the stars. Maybe they were just too busy rebuilding a society, or they simply did not care. Either way, the whole world would soon be made aware of just how real alien life was. For across the gulf of space, an ancient species looked upon Terraria with great desire. The aliens, though, were hardly a hostile race, having dedicated their existence to the pursuit of technology and enlightenment, but their efforts had taken a toll on their planet. Without the guiding hand of custodians like those on Terraria, the planet had been plundered for all it was worth, its oceans drained and the atmosphere polluted beyond repair, before being stripped altogether. Eventually, the world would become a cold, dry desert, incapable of sustaining life. The aliens retreated to artificial habitats, and as chaos reigned upon Terraria, they concentrated on developing their biology in hopes of surviving the world's new perilous environment. Nothing succeeded though, and they were faced with one option: to abandon their homeworld. But where would they go? Their resources were dangerously depleted for a trip beyond the solar system, and no other planet was suitable for colonization. That was, other than Terraria, but that was a populated world under the control of outer gods and great old ones that they did not want to draw the attention of. But then, when they turned their gaze back towards their sunward counterpart, they saw a world free of cosmic deities, where nature was slowly recovering. A new Eden almost. It was then that the unthinkable occurred to the aliens. Terraria's population had been decimated during the Dark Times. Resistance would be minimal, and the human occupants were nothing more than lowly primates after all. Hardly more than the livestock they fed from. A directed strike at their social and economic heart would be sufficient to break the back of human civilization, and allow for full-scale colonization. Having not required offensive capabilities for many millennia, the aliens began to retrofit their existing technology and prepared to launch a strike on their target, a target they designated Earth. Finally, after too long of strife and hardship, the people of Terraria had begun to believe that the dark times were over. It was true that the champion of Terraria had not been heard from in some time, last seen heading towards the deadly jungle, but before they departed they had defeated most of the terrible creatures of the land, and left the people with a state of peace they had not known for a long time. As many had suspected, the peace would not last, and was merely a calm before a much worse storm. Descending from the sky, a great metallic ship, kept aloft by some unknown form of magic, deposited huge, three-legged fighting machines that set to reducing buildings to nothing but ash, with searing lasers. Most people fled, but some remained, inspired by the heroic deeds of Terraria's champion, to fight the invading aliens, but for their efforts they were swiftly incinerated, like everything that came before the invaders. Unlike past incursions that set to enslave or corrupt the people of Terraria, this was a systematic extermination, the massacre of mankind. Within days, giant swaths of land were controlled by the invaders. Overhead, flying machines screamed across the sky, and probes patrolled for survivors, the fearsome tripods ready to engage at a moment's notice. All hope was thought to be lost. Any resistance had been crushed, and humanity existed only in hidden pockets, barely clinging on to life. Then, as if called forth to protect Terraria once more, the champion emerged from the jungle, wielding powerful ancient technology. Every fighting machine that came before them was quickly felled, and a path was carved towards the mothership, where alien engineers worked tirelessly to replace lost forces, but they were no match for the power of the champion carried before them. Confronting the mothership, the aliens were met with an ultimatum: leave or be destroyed. Despite the damages they had suffered, the aliens still did not fear this single human, and steadfastly refused, so the champion turned the full force of their power on the mothership, and brought it crashing to the ground. Without a central control, the fighting machines and probes fell lifeless, and the remaining alien interlopers surrendered quickly to the humans. Again, the champion was heralded as a saviour before setting off again into the wilds of Terraria. With their planet still dying, the aliens attempted further invasions, but with the champion's might and reverse-engineered alien technology, every incursion was repelled. Over the next few thousand years though, the deeds of Champion and the invasion from a planet that would come to be known as Mars passed into legend. Humanity would eventually rise to heights of technology rivaling the Martians and forget about the tales of elder gods and dryads. But they would remember one thing: the Martian name for Terraria, a name the humans would adopt for themselves: Earth.